Good evening and welcome to the Monday night edition of The People Show on IntellectualRadio.com with Mark Wallace and Charles Thomas.
Ready to go, my friend.
Our telephone number is 708-223-8953, 708-223-8953. We'd love to hear your comments. We have a lot of exciting stuff to talk about tonight. We don't know if we're going to get to all of it, but we are going to get started right away. We're going to start right here in the city of Chicago with the latest.
Yeah, the city of Chicago had just absolutely gorgeous weather today.
Man.
Did you get outside?
And it's, yeah, I did. I went outside and took a walk with the dog a couple of times.
Same.
You know?
Yeah.
And he felt it too. He had some, extra pizzazz in it. Plus, he had just had a bath anyway, so he's kind of, they walk differently when they're clean. They clean them, and then when they bathe the dogs, they give them a fresh bandana.
You got that big dog.
I got the big long buddy.
And I got a little dog, 10 pounds, man.
They require more attention.
Well, they do, but then again, I'm an attention. I love giving that attention. I love dogs, man.
Me too. My wife is not, unfortunately, this is going to be my last one because my wife is not she's just not an animal person. And right now she's putting up with him. This is the first time that he's ever been left alone with her.
I'm thinking about getting my dog a dog. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes she gets that separation anxiety.
Well, do you think she might not accept the dog?
Oh, she will. She's cool.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah,
so she socializes well with other dogs.
She is now. When we first got her, no, because we weren't around people with dogs. But now we've found a dog sitter or two, and she works her way in with them. And we took her to a friend's house yesterday, man, and she was cool, man. She was great. Then took her in a restaurant and put her in a little carrier because she's only 10 pounds. Set her between me and my wife. And we had a wonderful time with friends, and she didn't say a peep. See, she knows when she's on a pass, and she's not going to act up.
Well, my dog is not social with other animals
Really?
At all.
Really?
Anything that is bigger than a bird. Now birds, they don't get any attention from him.
Mm-hmm.
Squirrels, cats, other dogs.
Really? Is he protective of you?
Well, German Shepherds are typically territorial, except for they're usually very social. Mm-hmm. But I adopted him when he was almost 3, and something must have happened with the former family that he was with, because German Shepherds are usually pretty social dogs. And this one, we've gone to obedience training, we've gone to all kinds of stuff. He's just, now in the training around other dogs, they give you these techniques, but outside of that, he's just not. So, yeah.
Speaking of training and behavior and acting like you got some sense, what happened at city council last week, man?
God. This whole situation with the migrant situation is bringing out some behaviors or misbehaviors in people. And apparently there was supposed to be a vote, of course, within committee. There was supposed to be a vote on whether or not Chicago is going to remain a sanctuary city. And the floor leader, Carlos Ramirez Rosa of the 35th Ward, the floor leader, apparently physically blocked Emma Mitz and 3 other black aldermen from coming into the committee member to vote on for their wards.
Now, Carlos Ramirez Rosa is Mayor Brandon Johnson's floor leader.
He
was okay.
Yes.
But as floor leader, you are the appointed designated alderman who counts the votes, who makes sure that the mayor gets his way with the city council if he can.
Right.
But you are his person who whips the votes, who finds the 26 votes that the mayor needs to get something done.
Right.
So clearly, Mayor Johnson did not want this vote to happen. The vote on the resolution to happen.
I think that's fair.
That's fair. And Carlos this was his way of doing it, I guess, which was, I'm not going to let the sponsors have a quorum. So I'm going to keep these aldermen out so that you won't have the 26 in place
Right.
for the quorum.
Right.
That's what happened.
That's exactly what happened, because, you got to have that 26 in order to bring anything to the floor. But he apparently allowed for his emotions to get in the way. But now look, I am not an Emma Mitz fan at all. However, she is an elected official and she represents her ward, and they have a right to voice their vote based on what their constituents are calling for.
And she's 37th Ward.
She's the 37th Ward. Carlos Ramirez Rosa is the alderman in the 35th Ward. And I believe this is his second or third term.
Second or third. The Emma Mitz is from 37, the west side.
The west side.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
West side.
Yeah, on the west
the
side.
best side.
So some say.
I live on the west side, man. West Loop.
It's certainly a great side. It's certainly a great side. It is.
Yeah,
a great side.
What troubled me, Mark, was a lot of the conversations since last week when this happened. A lot of it's moot now that
Right.
Carlos Ramirez Rosa has resigned as floor leader, but the racial overtones when people were saying that this guy was trying to manhandle, I think that was the word, manhandled Emma Mitz as she tried to enter the council chamber. And I don't know, I know both of them. And Carlos Ramirez Rosa is I guess he's 40 something now, 40 something gay, Latino, and manhandle? Carlos manhandling anybody? To me, like, what? In fact, there was that while this was going on, there were black male aldermen in the chamber who clearly could have heard the commotion, and they didn't do anything. Well, my theory is they didn't do anything because they know Carlos, and that Carlos is not gonna manhandle anybody, because that just isn't who he is. And Emma Mitz, believe me, can take care of herself. And I don't think she would be in any way cowed by Carlos Ramirez Rosa. And I think so much was made of it. And that's what people were talking about from last week until today, this whole situation. And they're kind of painting a picture of it, somehow taking the whole black and brown schism, if I can call it that might be existing in the city right now over this migration problem. It's kind of making it crystalline, so to speak, with this confrontation. What?
With the racial overtones?
Yeah.
First of all, I dismiss the racial overtones as it relates to this. But I don't dismiss the manhandling of it.
Really?
Because a man's physicality overwhelms a woman's physicality. That's just the way.
Now, she said that it didn't happen. She said that he didn't put his hand, but.
Okay, but I'm only
there are witnesses that say that
right.
he did.
That said
okay.
Otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, so neither one of us witnessed what happened or didn't happen, but I'm going based off of what other people said they saw happen. So no man should be putting his hand on another woman. And in particular, in a situation where you're in the chambers of a democratic process where everybody has equal footing, nobody has a right to stop anybody from doing anything. Now, where I would be very sensitive to a situation of seeing another man putting his hand on another woman, I would be very sensitive to another man who is non-black manhandling another black woman. That would bring that would certainly bring out some, if you will, protective behavior from me.
Now, you know, he wrote this very long letter of apology to anyone who may have been offended by his actions,
Good,
as he puts it, as he resigned. Now, keep in mind, too, that a bigger story in this, I think, is the fact that he not only resigned as Mayor Johnson's floor leader, he also resigned as chairman of the Committee on Zoning, which is, to my view, you know, having covered City Hall, that zoning committee it might be the most powerful committee on the council in terms of the city's overall development and economic health. I mean, this is where you want to build something new in the city, you got to go through the zoning committee and that hoop. But beyond that, but here's my bottom line on this whole situation. It's a distraction from the real situation. The real question here is whether or not Chicago should remain a sanctuary city, and whether or not there should be a vote on that issue in the March primary next year. That, to me, is the issue. And this whole business of manhandling and the racial overtones and all that, to me, is a shiny object to get us off the real subject. Should Chicago be a sanctuary city, given the resources that being a sanctuary city appears to be costing us? And should we do away with that designation so that people who are in Texas wondering where they're going to go in the United States won't come here because they know that Chicago is not the so-called welcoming city that we say that we are, which to this reporter's assessment was nothing more than virtue signaling on the part of the liberal establishment in the city, acting like they really cared. But when it comes down to not in my neighborhood, everybody's saying that. White, black, Latinos are saying, I don't want them in my neighborhood. No, don't put your shelter here. And of course, we don't have the money. We can't pay. We're running seriously low on enough money to pay the pensions of our firefighters and our police officers. And we're going to spend $300 million on people who are not even United States citizens. We don't have it. And I think that's what the vote would be about. Do we want to go down that road? And that's the issue. And this talk about manhandling and race and and blocking the door, that's not what the debate should be about.
Well, it shouldn't be about it, but the behavior shouldn't have been there. Then we wouldn't be talking about it.
Well, no,
we wouldn't be
talking about the behavior because.
Well, I think they're two separate issues. They're two separate issues. We wouldn't be talking about it. He had no right to try to blockade another elected official from participating in the democratic process to vote on an issue that obviously is a contentious issue.
Do you think we should have the vote next March?
If it makes the ballot?
Do you think?
Let the people vote.
If the resolution is passed by the council, it will be on the ballot. But do you think it should be on the ballot? Do you think the city should rethink this whole sanctuary city thing? Apparently the mayor doesn't think that. But what do you think? I think we should have a vote.
No, well, see, you're asking me two different questions. You're asking me, what do I think about it?
Well, what do you think about
my opinion is no, we shouldn't have the vote.
Okay.
However, if the democratic process determines that there is going to be a vote, then it's going to be on the ballot. That's separate from my opinion.
But I think the Democratic Party does not want it on the ballot, because if it fails, I mean, if it passes and we get rid of the sanctuary city designation, man, the press on the right will have a field day during a few months before the Democrats come to Chicago, who all appear the Democrats support the open borders. They will have a serious problem. So what they're doing, they're having they're deflecting the issue, which should be on why are the borders open, which is and Chicagoans would speak on that issue in March. They would say, we don't want to be a sanctuary city. They could say that. And if they did, it would be extraordinarily embarrassing to the Democratic Party. And they don't want that vote because they want to keep all the heat they can off the Biden administration, which has opened the borders and allowed 6 to 7 million people into the country who otherwise would not be here.
Well, first of all, we learned yesterday that Illinois is a sanctuary state.
Absolutely. Yep.
Illinois is a sanctuary state. And so, therefore, since Illinois is a sanctuary state, then let the state bear some of the burden of housing and providing for the migrants, so that it's not all on one city.
Beyond that, Mark, I'm no great J.B. Pritzker fan, as you know. But this isn't J.B. Pritzker's not letting these people in the border. This is Joe Biden's federal government. J.B. Pritzker is being victimized as much as Brandon Johnson. This is Joe Biden.
No, this is not Joe Biden. This is a guy who is taking billions of dollars in federal dollars. Governor Greg Abbott in Texas, who is taking billions of dollars from the federal government to help take care of these people, and he is keeping the money but sending people to these blue states.
Well, I think he's
hold on, sending people to these blue states, and I think there's 7 of them. I mean, cities, these 7 cities and he's keeping the federal dollars that is being sent to his state to help to deal with this problem. That is the problem. And Jonathan Jackson, who I was at a town hall with him yesterday, who has sent a letter to the Department of Justice asking for an investigation to see whether or not Greg Abbott, as well as Ron DeSantis, is committing a crime. Now, it is certainly wrong for him to use, I forget the name of this thing that he's called, that he's sending these people deceptively, I might add, to these other. That's the real wrong in this.
Okay,
that's
now,
the real wrong.
Finish?
Yes.
You finish? I think it's brilliant what Greg Abbott is doing, because as a country, we are going to open the borders and we are going to let 6 million people in. The entire country should share in resettling the people.
Well,
and
okay,
that's
so
where
set up a process.
Wait.
Set up a process.
Why then did Brandon Johnson just return from Washington, D.C. to beg the Biden administration to, hey, help us out here? The people are coming, but we don't have the resources locally to handle it. I thought it was brilliant when Ron DeSantis loaded a plane and sent him to Martha's Vineyard, Obama's hometown. I thought it was brilliant.
You did?
Because it exposed the hypocrisy of the elite.
Yeah.
The elite, you don't see these people going to Ravenswood. These people aren't going to Roscoe Village. These people aren't going to Lakeview. They're going to South Shore. They're going to Austin. They're going to neighborhoods that barely can survive now. That's where they're sending them. They got to take them to Roscoe Village. Take them to Ravenswood.
Well,
they don't do that.
Take them to Barrington.
And take them to Barrington. Take them to
Oak
Martha's
Park.
Vineyard.
Take them to Orland
Take
Park.
them to Martha's Vineyard. I think it's brilliant what Greg Abbott is doing. I support it 100% because it has exposed the hypocrisy of the liberal left-wing Democrat Party. That's what it's done. Well, I think it's brilliant because now black people in places like Austin and South Shore, where they're trying to dump these people, are connecting the dots finally. They're connecting the dots and finding out that the Democrat Party is not on their side. They're not. They're just exploiting them the way they always have. And then they're using race in Chicago as the shiny object, because black folks get triggered when you say race. Oh, they assaulted a black woman. That ain't the issue. The issue is that they're letting all these people into the country and they're using the resources that should be used to help historically disadvantaged people in this country.
Well, let me just say this, because I separate those two issues. No man should be putting his hand on a woman, and certainly if he did put his hand on a black woman and there were black men in that chamber and they did nothing, shame on them for not standing up for a black woman who was being attacked in a place that she had every right to be.
And they knew.
So that's those are two separate issues there. The other issue is that this is a shared responsibility, but more so because Republicans don't want to work to fix the problem. And the country also has to deal with this problem that is going on with Venezuela that is forcing those people to have to flee their country because they can't work, they can't feed themselves, and then they're being put in these inhumane circumstances. So they have to deal with those embargoes that was intended to deal with humanitarian problems there, but they are causing far greater harm because most of the people here are those Venezuelans. Those are most of the people that are here, the migrants.
So what should we do about that? What should we?
Well, the country's got to do something about. The government has got to do something about that.
What government? The Venezuelan government or the United States government?
The United States government.
Oh, really? We have to take care of people in Venezuela too?
No,
we got people
the United States has imposed sanctions and embargoes in Venezuela that is causing for their economy to collapse there.
But the Biden administration is
not
doing anything to help the people in Venezuela who then come here. So who's in charge of foreign policy? Isn't it the Biden administration?
This has been long-standing. In this country, and I know that they have to deal with those issues. It's complex, and so, but they have to deal with it so that these issues that we're being faced with, that we're not choked with these issues. I thought that the information that we learned about yesterday from that town hall was great, and I also. A side note from that, learned that Jonathan is the 9th black person to represent the 1st district since 1929. The first was Oscar S. DePriest, who you talked about quite a bit. And Arthur Mitchell was after him, William Dawson, who was very famous here, so that I heard people talking about, a guy by the name of Ralph Metcalf.
Olympian.
Bennett M. Stewart, Harold Washington. Served there from 1981 to 83. Charles A. Hayes, who I had an opportunity to meet, was the congressman of the 1st district from 1983 to 1993. And of course, Bobby Rush, 93 to 23. He was the longest serving congressman to represent that district. Dawson was the 2nd longest serving. So,
but this whole immigration issue, is. You can feel the effect of it. You can see the effect of it. It's one of the few. It's not very subtle. This isn't some political subtlety, if you will. This is real. I mean, you have people who up in Austin say, "Well, my nephew, my son, my grandson's basketball team is not going to be able to play if we have migrants living in the gym. I mean, they're being affected by this in a very, very direct way, and it's an issue that's resonating. But you know, one thing about it, I have to say this: if you go back to the 2020 campaign for president of the United States, Joe Biden said, "I'm not going to build one more foot of border wall, and I am going to end the Remain in Mexico policy that Donald Trump's administration put in place." He did those things.
That's not a
and
policy.
Wait, but let me finish. And then the flood began. And now we're up to as many as 10,000 people on some days crossing the border into the United States. And people have to understand that, particularly black folks in Chicago, you got to remember, and I know you can remember, you voted for Joe Biden after he said that. After he said what he was going to do about the border, and you accepted the rhetoric that Donald Trump was some kind of racist because he wanted to wanted to build a wall and to make people remain in Mexico so that they could come in an orderly fashion. You voted for the guy who's doing this to you. Just connect the dots. That's all I ask. Connect the dots. Maybe you shouldn't have voted for him in the primary. Maybe you shouldn't have voted for him in the general election of 2020, but you did it to yourself. You did it yourself. You voted for these sanctuary city people. You got to live with what you did. Now, you can undo it. Maybe in March, you'll have a chance to vote. Hey, I got second thoughts. I don't want to be a sanctuary city. I don't want Chicago to be a sanctuary city because I want to keep the hundreds of millions of dollars that we are spending out of the city budget to support these people. I want to keep it here. You can make that call if you get a chance to vote. And then in the following November, you can vote for a president who opposes this open border business.
Well, you know, the Bible speaks a lot about how we should treat foreigners. And I had to do a little studying about that. And because God referred to all of us as foreigners at one time. And everybody who is in this country was an immigrant or foreigners, except for us, because we were forced here. And we made this country what it is, and for people to prosper, especially the elite, prospering the way that they prosper. So I hope that vote doesn't go forth. And I hope that we do what we need to do to help poor people, and that we continue to work to make sure that we have a place to orderly deal with this so that they can contribute to the building of our city, and they can contribute to the tax base of our city. But certainly for the dollars that we have coming into this city, which is going to be somewhere around $56 billion, that we don't get so distracted and so hung up on a few thousand people that are going to need some temporary assistance. But mind you, there's some black folks getting some really nice contracts that I learned about. One guy is getting $97,000 a month to feed some of the migrants, and there are 3 other companies that I know of that are getting some portions of those dollars. So keep in mind, there are some black folks that are benefiting as a result of helping those migrants. And I asked the question, would anybody want to trade places with one of those migrants? And the answer would be no. Nobody wants to trade.
Did you read that story in the, I think it was a story in the Tribune this past week. I think it was the Tribune, may have been the Sun-Times, but the bottom line is there are people, homeless people, Chicagoans who have been homeless in this city for some time, who are now joining the camps outside the police stations, hoping that some of the benefits that are being given to the migrants, at least they can get a hot meal, maybe a night inside the police station. They're basically trying to mix in with the migrants because the migrants are getting a better deal than the people who the Chicago born and bred homeless. That you're better off if you're going to be homeless being with the migrants.
Well, I'm going to reiterate what I have said 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and along, is that we need, the city should, and along with the state and along with the Department of HUD, which her name is Director Fudge, I think that's her name.
Marsha Fudge.
Is that his name? Okay.
From Ohio.
Yeah. So she is sending the resources, and I am calling for them to take every one of these abandoned buildings that we have, not only in the city, but around the country. And we can fix those buildings. And we can house people who are homeless. And we can also give some temporary service and housing for these migrants that we have. There's more than enough abandoned facilities that have been sitting for decades, vacant, because the cost of renovating those buildings to a private developer is too costly without some type of subsidies.
How are they going to pay rent? Are they going to pay rent?
This is the opportunity. This is the opportunity through the federal subsidies, and getting these people to the point to where they can contribute, work where they can pay rent, and helping our homeless people as well. We can do both. It doesn't have to be either or. It can be both and stop gaslighting the situation for political gains when they have nothing else to say. I'm not joining that group.
The group that's doing what?
Gaslighting.
Gaslighting. What's that mean?
Gaslighting. Just pouring gasoline on an issue to cause a fire, which is a distraction.
Gaslighting.
Yes.
You mean by pouring gas on the situation by inflaming it politically?
Right.
By using politics or by inflame. Well, I mean, that's what I do. That's what I do, and I try to get a political perspective.
I think there should be more substantive.
People have to understand they voted for this. When you complain, Austin, when you complain about your community center being overrun or overtaken by migrants, understand that you voted for it. You voted for it when you elected Joe Biden as your president.
Austin's community center did not get taken over.
Saying,
they reversed that.
But there's a controversy.
That's your democratic process.
That's a controversy.
The people stood up and they said, we don't want to help.
The people in Brighton Park, they voted. This city voted 90% for Joe. Come on,
and they should vote 90% again for Joe.
They could. They
should.
But these are the facts, and they should. If they should, they will. But they'll have the facts. They'll know that on this issue, they were the ones who chose to go down this road. And as long as they understand that, fine. No, they're not distracted.
They need to understand. They need to understand it in the total context.
Let me finish. That they not be distracted by somebody blocking the doors of the city council chamber. That's not the issue. The issue is that people have come here, crossed the border. They're not citizens, and there are more of them coming. And you might as well get used to it. And perhaps you can do something about it if you vote for a resolution, if it's on the ballot, and then you absolutely can do something about it in the fall of next year when we have a presidential election.
Congress can do something about it right now. Congress can do something about it. Call your congressperson and tell them to fix the immigration problem. Okay. That's what you can do. Call your congressperson. They can fix this now. You don't have to wait till next fall. You don't have to wait till next March. Call your congresspeople and tell Congress to get on their job and to fix this problem. In particular, the Republicans who don't want to fix anything. They just want to continue to distract and to pour gasoline on things because they don't have any record or any substance to run. They just want to get you all emotionally driven to make you think that somehow these people are going to take something away from you. That is so far from the truth of it. Ask one single Republican, ask one of them, what is your proposal to fix the immigration problem in this country? Ask any one of them, and I guarantee you, you will get no answer because they don't have one. That's not a policy.
That is a policy.
No, it's not. It's not a policy.
Build a wall.
Not a policy.
And then remain in Mexico until we can bring you into the country orderly. You're talking about, is this what they mean?
I said put together an immigration policy so that people can have an orderly process.
Comprehensive immigration reform.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They've been talking about that.
Exactly. Exactly. You know why they haven't done anything about it? No, you haven't. You haven't, because Republicans, the Republicans,
you control the Senate, you control the White House.
You have to have a supermajority. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
You controlled the House.
No.
You controlled this in the first 2 years of the Biden administration.
You did not have a supermajority. No, you didn't.
Yes, you did in the first 2 years of the
Let
Obama administration.
me help you because you're wrong.
When they did
Let me help you. You're wrong.
Let me help you. The Senate and the White House.
Let me
they
help
didn't
you.
do anything.
Let me help you. First of all, you need a supermajority to do it. The President Obama had a supermajority. You know how long his supermajority was?
2 years.
No, it wasn't. It was 74 days.
2 years, man.
It was 70.
He did healthcare.
It was 74 days. No, let's go back. No, don't. Let's go back. Let's go back. The supermajority was 74 days of Obama's first term.
Look.
Let's talk about the facts.
Emanuel, I'll tell you the fact out of Rahm Emanuel's mouth, who was the chief of staff. Rahm Emanuel told me that they made a decision whether or not they would do health care or immigration reform.
He lied to you.
Rahm lied.
Yes.
Why would
because I'm going to tell you the truth because you didn't talk. You didn't talk to the person.
I talked to Rahm.
Rahm Emanuel. He's the biggest liar. He's one of the biggest liars that you ever talked to.
Do immigration reform.
Here is the fact.
Or healthcare reform.
You know why he said that to you?
Healthcare
no.
reform.
You know why he said that to you?
That's a fact.
No. You know why he said that to you?
Okay,
because Nancy Pelosi.
You know
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why he lied.
You know why.
I'm going to tell you why he lied.
In these
good,
years.
But he still lied. Talking about we chose. No, he didn't choose anything. Rahm Emanuel did not want to do.
Administration chose.
Rahm Emanuel did not want to do.
Okay, Mark.
I'm just telling you. I do know. I do know. Because Nancy Pelosi is the one who set him straight. Nancy Pelosi set him straight and told him, look, over my dead body, we will not do a health care reform. She is the one who's, I don't care what he told you.
You want me to call
I don't care what. Yeah, you can call him and tell him. Please call him, and I'll tell him it was a liar on your phone.
You're gonna tell him he's a liar?
Absolutely, because Nancy Pelosi set him straight. He didn't even want to do health care reform. He didn't want to do it. Did he tell you that? Did he tell you that? Did he tell you that?
You can't tell me.
I'm asking you a question. Did he tell you that?
You were there.
Okay, well then tell me. Did he tell you
that?
that? I don't need to have a secret microphone. I tell you, if he told you that, he lied to you. No.
Okay.
Of course the administration made a decision
Over
him.
Mark, whatever you say.
Over him.
Whatever you say, Mark.
He didn't want to do it.
Down, boy.
No, he didn't want to do it. So unfortunately, the man lied to you.
Take a deep breath.
The man lied to you.
Okay. You know he lied.
I do know.
Okay.
I do know that.
Okay, Mark.
I do know that.
You know, Mark.
I do know.
You know,
that.
Mark. That he lied to me. You were in
Yeah.
the room behind.
I don't have to be in the room.
listening.
I don't have to be in the room.
He lied.
I don't have to be in the room. I know for a fact
Anyway,
that he did not want to do
that's a talking point
healthcare
that's
reform.
been around by both parties.
No,
Both parties have had that talking point.
Republicans don't want to do anything about it.
Well, it's different. And
Republicans
the
what's
Republicans
different?
have a different idea.
What's their
for
idea?
immigration.
What is
Well,
their idea?
They don't want to do pathway to citizenship. A lot of them don't
No.
want to do that.
What is their
I
idea for
think
a
that's
policy?
a great idea, but they don't want to do
What
it.
is they?
They have
Okay.
ideas.
Well, what is
they
it?
have ideas.
What is it?
Remain in Mexico until
No.
you can come through an established port of
That's not a
entry in the
policy.
United States.
That's not a policy.
Not swimming.
Put a policy on the table.
Rio Grande.
Okay, we'll
Come
put a
over the
policy on the
bridge,
table.
Come to the place. We'll give you a ticket. Go back to Mexico. We'll call you when we're ready to see you. That's what their policy is.
Put a policy on it. They don't have a policy.
Well, that's a policy.
No, they
That's
haven't
a
put one
policy.
together.
Build a wall. So
That's not a policy.
So that a woman
That's
who
not a
has
policy.
2 toddlers can't get over a 30-foot wall. So that person is not going to come.
The policy of
because
the
they can't
Republicans
get
and
here.
the Trump
It's a
administration
wall.
was to
They
separate
build a
people from their
wall.
children.
Build
That's what their
a
policy
wall.
was.
They're still doing that, by the way.
No, they're not.
They have children showing up at the border all the time, man,
No.
by themselves.
No.
They're called
This
unaccompanied
administration,
adults.
this
They were keeping them
administration
here
is
in
not. No,
Chicago.
no.
They were called unaccompanied
No,
adults.
what the Trump
They still have
administration
them.
did was
Oh, man.
he deliberately took people and separated them from their children,
Okay.
and they still have not reconnected
if
those
you get
children with
arrested
their
for
family.
DUI and you've got a
No,
kid
no,
in the
don't
car,
conflate the two.
you get
Don't-
separated
don't
from your
conflate-
child. They broke the law.
No.
So hey,
No,
they
no.
know what the deal
No.
is. But Biden says, "Come on anyway. We got room for you at the 12th District Police Station."
I'm
got a
really
tent,
glad.
too.
I'm really glad that he did
Yeah,
do that. I'm really glad that he did do
You
that.
know,
And I'm not on this.
I'm
not
just
on
saying,
this,
man.
on
I'm
this
just telling
camp
you, man. I'm just telling you.
of trying
We didn't
to
have
tell people that they
sleeping in
can't come
police stations
to
when
land
Trump
that
was
was
president.
hijacked.
We didn't have that. We didn't have that. What else
Yeah.
is going on in the world, man?
Oh man,
You all
all
right,
kinds of
man?
stuff.
I mean,
I'm good.
yeah,
I'm good.
You straight?
Yeah.
I mean, I've sometimes,
Except for when you start when you start talking
friend,
when
man.
you start talking
Mark,
about
you're my friend,
yeah.
and I know that I put you on the defensive quite a
No,
bit.
you don't put
and
me
you
on the
have to
defensive.
defend the Biden
No, you don't put
administration,
me on
the
the
Johnson
defensive.
administration, all these liberal ideas that right now are
Yeah,
the
'cause
rage
I'm a
in the
liberal.
country. And
I'm a liberal.
you know, hey, man, did you read that New York Times poll?
I don't read polls.
You don't read polls?
No,
Well,
I don't read
let me
polls,
tell
'cause
you what
they
happened. Let me tell you
don't
what it was.
really mean
The
much.
New York Times and Siena, which I think is a university, they did a poll, and they showed that Donald Trump, despite all of these indictments, is leading in 5 of 6 swing states, including Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada. I can't name all of them. I can't remember all of them, but 5 of the 6 swing states that right now,
Yeah.
snapshot in time, believe me, not permanent, that Donald Trump is leading by significant margins in all those states, and that Joe Biden's popularity or whatever their approval rating is just continuing to slide down into the netherworld, man. Into
Yeah,
just
well,
really,
you know,
really
there's
bad.
there's a thing where, you know, intellectual persuasiveness is not popular and emotional rhetoric is. That is. So but you know, they were saying the same thing about this red wave that was supposed to happen that didn't happen. So I don't get into polls. Polls, you know, because when I look at polls after the final results come in, because it tells
I do
us,
too. That is the only poll.
Yeah,
that
it
counts.
tells us what. Yeah, exactly.
But the New York
Tells us
Times
what
apparently
happens.
does believe in polls because they buy them.
Well, they
and
all do.
They report them, and yeah, I just mentioned
all
it.
do.
I just mentioned it. The
so
New York Times
They don't
has
faze me
done a
one
poll
bit.
that now shows, despite Donald Trump in court, ugliness in court is still what he still as a candidate is resonating with voters. The campaign is, of course, is not completely underway yet, but then you had David Axelrod, Chicago's very own David Axelrod, saying that the party really has to take a look at Joe Biden as a candidate, and that Joe Biden needs to look at himself as a candidate. Did you see Axelrod's interview? Yeah. Maybe you can clarify what it was exactly he was saying, because I took it to mean that Joe Biden is on some shaky ground right now as a candidate in terms of party insiders and what they see.
No, what I took is that the Democratic, based on, you know, these polls things and being these strategic people, is that the Democrats need to relook at their messaging and who they have doing their messaging. That's what I took. Not looking at him as a candidate. I didn't hear that at all. But I did hear him reiterate that the Democratic Party needs to look at who it is that is messaging their accomplishment, because they have some great accomplishment, but they don't have the right messaging of those accomplishments. But that aside, that aside, the polls don't mean a thing.
Okay. So, another problem that he's having right now as well is this whole controversy surrounding the Israeli invasion of Gaza and these huge crowds that are coming out, particularly around college campuses, where they're basically taking issue with the U.S. support of Israel in this current situation in the Middle East. And, that could have an impact as well on the presidential race.
I don't think so. I think the problem that people have is not with the support of Israel. The problem that people have is because Benjamin Netanyahu, people see him as a crook and a criminal. Mm-hmm. 3 out of 4 people in Israel want for him to resign. Mm-hmm. 3 out of 4 want for him to resign for office. They got demonstrations and protests that were by the thousands
before the Hamas October 7th raid.
As of now. Well, I don't know what it was before. I don't think
they're doing it now. I think they pretty much coalesced, and they're trying to keep it together.
No. This is a report from today.
Demonstrations in Israel now.
They had people who were out at his house yesterday.
Yeah, but I mean, like
calling for him to resign.
But throngs in the street. I mean, they've activated their reserves, and they're actually on the ground.
Yeah, but the reserves can't stop. You're not going to stop the citizens from demonstrating.
Do you think he can make it through it? I mean, at this point,
Benjamin Netanyahu?
Yeah.
Not according to the way that the people, 3 out of 4 people are calling for you to resign. That's 70%.
I mean, that's a survey. That's a poll. Got to be careful with that,
No, that's what.
That's what. Be careful with that.
This is what reporters are saying.
Reporters on polls, we got to
3 out of 4
go,
people,
man.
And I want to see him go.
You got to be careful. Okay,
so
you think there's some validity? Do you think there should be a ceasefire then? I mean,
yes.
And do you think the 3 out of 4 Israelis believe there should be a ceasefire in Gaza right now? Is that
no?
What you're saying?
No, you're talking about 2 different things.
No.
They want there to be a ceasefire.
Who does?
The Israelis.
The majority of Israelis.
Yes, the majority of Israelis want there to be a ceasefire.
But they still
the majority of Israelis are calling for Benjamin Netanyahu, because that's the problem, is that the Israelis' position is very different than that of their prime minister, president.
So why is he still sending the bombers to bomb?
Because he's a war hawk.
Really?
He's a war hawk.
So is he some kind of like Nazi or something? That's somebody dictator? Is he a dictator?
Yeah, he kind of wants to be.
Yeah.
He kind of wants to be. That seems to be the way he talks. I mean, have you seen his last messages?
Well, I mean, I know he's always been that way. I mean, this isn't anything new for him. This is
I know it's not new. That's what I'm saying.
By being a war hawk and being really hardcore.
I mean, the man's under indictment, and he was spending all his time trying to get, to overtake the Supreme Court over there and all of that sort of thing. And the Israelis said, and that's what they're saying, is that he spent so much time trying to insulate himself that he took his eyes off of the ball and allowed for this intel failure for the Hamas to be able to come in on Israel and attack it the way it did.
This guy is doing, as you say he's doing, he's sort of like not even doing the will of his people,
right,
by invading and bombing.
Yeah, well, we've done that too. So.
Yeah, but why are we as a country supporting him by sending aircraft carriers to the Middle East?
We're not supporting him.
Who are we supporting?
We're supporting ourselves, protecting the interests of the country.
What is our interest over there?
Israel is an ally, not necessarily Benjamin Netanyahu. That is where the real complex of this sets in terms of trying to make sure that you protect the national interest while not looking as though you're supporting some guy who is a war hawk.
But we're there, and we're the only.
We have to be there.
And thanks to the Biden administration's foreign policy, we are isolated there. I mean, we don't.
We're not isolated.
Wait a minute, Mark.
We're not isolated.
Mark, let me finish.
Stop using the wrong terms.
We are isolated.
We're not.
We are the.
No one can isolate us. Mary, no one has the power to isolate us.
we are the only country that is sending military aid to Israel at this point. We don't, even though we have sworn ourselves to defend NATO countries like Britain, France, Italy, Poland. We also have vowed defense of Japan, Korea, countries all over the world. We have all these treaties with that we will come to your aid if you have any problem. But here we are by ourselves in the Middle East, backing up one side of this situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying, how did we become so isolated in as much as nobody is there with us? We are the backstop for the Israelis, but where are the French?
If we needed
Where
them,
are the British?
if we needed it, well, but your question is why are we not? Is nobody else is there?
I wasn't asking you. I was saying it rhetorically. Where?
Well, I'm going to answer it.
How did we become so isolated in the world where we are the one who have to defend Israel in this situation? Where are the other countries of the world?
Number one,
why don't they
isolated.
back us up? Why don't they say, hey, we're with you all the way? All this is happening while
they are.
Well, listen, while we are.
If we needed them, they would be there.
The Ukrainians,
if we needed them, we would be there
in the Ukraine. Man, our foreign policy right now is at the lowest ebb that I've seen it in my 7 decades of life. Our foreign policy right now is in the toilet.
If Joe Biden came in here and said that this tablecloth was not black, you would say
no. I'm being factual.
No, you're not. Not. Based on what? Show it to me. Wait, you just said you're being factual. Show it to me.
War.
Show me the facts of what you just asserted.
Holocaust, man. How did this happen?
No, we're not.
In just 2.5 to 3 years.
No, we're not.
How did this happen? We didn't have any of this kind of stuff going on when Trump
thanks to
was
your
president.
Criminally indicted
I'm just giving you the facts, Mark.
Presidents.
We did not have this kind of situation going on when Trump was president. And now Biden and all the money he spent in Ukraine.
Thank God we didn't have this problem when Trump was credited, because he wouldn't be able to manage it.
They're talking now about having some kind of peace talks with the Russians, but the Russians aren't going to move out of what they've already conquered in Ukraine. And we've spent billions of dollars. Half a million Ukrainians are dead.
Now you're repeating Vivek Ramaswamy's nonsense.
I'm telling you, man, that Joe Biden.
You do the talking points real good for those thugs over there.
American foreign policy. I'm not saying that
you are a good sycophant.
He needs to be more like Donald Trump.
Oh, please.
Who can maintain some level of peace and security in the
world. We didn't want a repeat of Donald Trump.
He can barely talk, man.
That's why we have him. He can
barely talk.
Yeah, that's why we have him.
Putin's losing the war.
He's
already lost the war.
Yeah, he can think though. He can think though. He can think though. Unlike
did you read that piece in Time magazine that they did recently, where they called Time magazine now? It's calling Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, delusional.
Oh, please!
Did you read that piece?
Please, no.
Okay, try that one. It's a frightening piece, man. A frightening piece, but it really points up our really falling apart foreign policy.
In your opinion?
Well,
in your opinion,
my opinion.
You said you had some facts to it. I'm waiting for you to bring them. I'm waiting for you to bring them.
The fact is that they're about to. They don't want to spend money in Ukraine anymore. That's a fact. That's on the table. Should we send more money to Ukraine or should we focus on Israel? Man, they separate. I think the House has already separated the funding mechanism for Ukraine and Israel, where the administration wanted to lump it all together.
Oh, you mean by the Speaker of the House who says
he's a Christian, you know?
He is.
Yeah, absolutely.
The guy, he's a strong Christian. The guy who shares.
I only said that to you because
porn app
you claim to be
with his son. Oh,
you want to. I just want to tell you who he was. You know, he praised before the session, and quite the Christian.
He prays before the session. You know, a lot of other people pray before sessions, right?
Yeah, I know.
Jim Jones said he was a Christian.
Jim Jones said he was a Christian?
Yeah, he said he was a Christian.
So you're equating Jim Jones with Christianity.
No, I'm equating Jim Jones with Mike Johnson.
Really?
Yeah.
You think Jim Jones
Yeah.
is like
That's
Mike
who I'm
Johnson?
equating. Very close.
Really?
Very close.
Man, really?
Jim Jordan, quite a few
Jim
of them.
Jones? I mean, I'm sorry.
Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson. You say Mike Johnson
Jim Jordan.
is more like
Jim Jordan.
Jim Jones
Yeah.
than, a
virtuous
Christian man.
No, you can stop there.
It's
you can stop
impossible
there.
for him to do that. I mean,
impossible to him to do what?
To be a Christian. I mean,
it's not impossible for anybody to be a Christian.
It's not. You don't think he is?
Listen, it's not.
You don't think he's a Christian?
I don't have an opinion on whether he's a Christian or not.
Good.
I don't have an opinion on whether he's a Christian or not.
That's all I want to know. He claims to be.
Okay.
He claims to be. He prays before the sessions in Congress, and I do too.
A lot of people pray.
I pray out,
and I hope that he prays a lot. I hope that he prays a lot, and I hope that
So you already made up
he gets some
your mind
revelation
about him. You already
he made up his mind about him.
For 2 weeks.
Doesn't matter.
I haven't really made up my mind. I haven't seen it. I just know that, that's who's in charge now, and he led the House to separate funding.
Well, this is the guy who said
funding
this is the
for
guy,
Israel.
This is the guy who said
he led that effort.
This is the guy who said that he wants to cut $2.5 trillion from Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, which senior citizens, poor people rely on. That he wants to.
You think he can do that?
Those.
You think he'll be able to do that? Get that through the Senate, which is controlled by Democrats?
No.
I don't think
I'm
he can do it.
just telling you what the man said he wanted to do.
I'm just telling you he can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you he can't
what
do
he
it.
said he wanted to
Lord,
do.
don't let him do it. I'm praying now because I do get Social Security. Lord, don't let him do it.
Well, speaking of Social Security, you Social Security people who are receiving Social Security are going to be getting additional, I think, $360 a month, starting in the first of the year. So
everybody,
yes,
everybody,
yes.
Or is it? I thought that was based on inflation.
No, this
$360 a month. That's a lot, man.
Yeah, no,
that's a huge amount.
That's a good deal.
Man, I don't think.
Not to mention, speaking of Social Security, 60 Minutes did a piece on this. You remember Terry Savage?
Yes,
used to be a reporter here. When she's now a financial columnist. Somebody sent her a letter. A senior citizen sent her a letter that Social Security is saying that they have to pay back $30,000 of overpayments that they've gotten over a period of time. So Terry Savage looked just like you look. She was like, this can't be true. So she contacted the lady, and then she started doing some digging. Went on and did a story and found out that the Social Security Administration, there's some happened that they're sending out these tens of thousands of letters telling people that they owe $10, $15, $20,000 and they got to pay it in 30 days. So 60 Minutes has picked this up. Hopefully that whatever this glitch is, that they get it right. But to suggest that people have to pay back money that they use to live on, because nobody saves Social Security to use the money to live on. I mean, you might.
Was
be
it a
able to save
mistake?
it, but,
was it a mistake that is the Social Security Administration claiming they overpaid people by mistake, and that
that's what they're saying, that they overpaid people by these large sums of money over a period of time. All of a sudden they have caught these glitches, and they're asking and sending people these notices that you've got to pay this money back in 30 days.
I don't want to digress, but I know that this guy, Mike Johnson, he says he wants to tie any aid to these foreign militaries to take that money out of the money that was set aside under the Inflation Reduction Act. Is that what it is?
No.
Which one hired the 87?
He wanted to take it from the IRS.
From the IRS. Yes. Yeah, they got 87. They wanted to hire 87,000 new agents, and he wants to defund that move in order to send money overseas, which I think makes great sense. Number one, because I don't think anybody wants to pay more taxes, that we need more tax agents. And secondly,
we just
it's
need
a
for
way
the elite
not
to pay their fair share.
Spending.
No,
it's a way not to increase spending.
It is a reason
because we take money
from
from there, and put it over here as
No.
opposed to printing new money,
those people
which
are in
causes
place.
inflation and which takes away your buying power.
No, first of all, the Republicans made a deal with the administration of what the spending levels would be. So that was already a deal cut. He's doing the same thing that Jim Jordan wanted to do, was to go back on that deal, and the same thing and this was a deal that McCarthy made, the highest fundraising Republican in the House, right? That cut the deal, that this is what the spending levels was going to be. The Democrats cut a deal with them. They all agreed to it. Now this guy wants to walk away from that deal. Those IRS agents need to be there to make sure that these wealthy people who don't pay their fair share,
87,000
to pay their fair share,
87,000
to do
people,
their job. It takes-
87,000 agents. Who do you think they're going to be auditing? They're going to be auditing you.
I've been audited
me.
before.
I have too. The Earl. They're going to be auditing everybody.
Who's going to audit you? You're
They're
retired.
gonna, what?
You're retired.
Man, I could be.
Why would they audit you?
I
You're
ain't
retired.
Completely retired. Come on, man. Come on, man.
You're not completely retired.
No, I'm not. Why?
Okay.
I'm sitting here.
Okay.
I'm sitting here with you, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not completely retired.
Okay.
Not complete. I'm mostly
All right.
retired.
All right.
It's
Well,
the best way to be.
get the cheats, get the money, make those people who have gone for decades of not paying their fair share of taxes when they benefit the most.
Really?
Absolutely.
Like people that make how much would you say?
those
The most.
uber wealthy people who
Well,
don't
how many
play.
Uber? You think there's
Well-
87,000 uber wealthy people in
Oh,
the
come
United
on,
States?
Charles, don't be ridiculous.
Uber
Now you're
wealth.
being
When I say
ridiculous.
uber wealth,
Now
I
being
think you're
ridiculous.
talking J.B. Pritzker kind of wealth. I'm thinking there's that
Yeah.
many billionaires in the
Yeah.
United States.
Yeah.
87,000 billion. So you can give
Look,
each one of
you
them.
have these multi.
Really?
I mean, look, when you
Man.
think about what the average CEO earns today,
Yeah, but how
as
many
opposed to what the
CEOs
average
are there?
CEO earned 50 years ago, it's ridiculous.
I know, man.
And
But
this
how many
country
CEOs?
is out
There's
of
a
place.
lot fewer companies today than there were 50 years ago because the companies have consolidated and they've made these huge multi-level
Good.
corporations,
Go
and
get
these
'em.
guys are
Go
making
get
all
'em
this
and
money.
make them pay
I
their
get
fair
that,
share.
but man,
Make them pay their
then
fair
they
share.
did. Some of them say
pickpocketing
some of them say that
working people.
this is XYZ Corporation and we hire 120,000 people around the country in the United States, and therefore we create the jobs, and all the jobs that we created pay taxes to the federal government. That's what they say.
That's their rationale.
So the shareholders
Yeah.
are making money on their shares of
Yeah.
stock, but this one guy is making $22 million a year, $17 million a year.
400 times the average working person.
Like you know that a black woman was running Walgreens Boots, I think they call it Walgreens. She just resigned not long ago, like a few weeks ago. Her name was Rosalind Brewer, a black woman making $17 million. Her compensation was $17 million a year. That's according to Cranes. But man, those people do make a lot of money. And I get it, but they say that they create more revenue by the jobs they create and provide for people who actually pay the taxes through the employees.
Yeah,
that's their
rationale. Right.
That's the lick.
That's their rationale.
But as far as the company,
which is not rational,
like the company paying taxes directly to the federal government, I don't know that the tax code allows that. I mean, because the shareholders, the value of the company comes through the value of the stock.
No, the reason why corporations are not doing that is because it was cut 40 years ago, where corporations had to pay 94 cents on every dollar that they took out over and above a certain limit. When that was cut, it opened the floodgates to what we now have happening in this country.
Well, we'll see, my friend. We'll see, man, what's going on with the tax situation. But 87,000 Johnson wants to take the money from the IRS to give to the foreign governments who want to have
Of
wars.
course, he wants to take it
Well,
because
whatever,
he wants to protect the people who owns him.
I'm reporting. That's what
Yeah,
Mike Johnson wants to do.
he wants to protect the people who owns him.
Check it out. Google him.
Yeah.
Find it out. It's like Mike Johnson taxes, and you'll find out what the deal is on your own.
But he's not talking about you. He wants to protect the people who owns him and buys and pays for him.
But you know, the people
That's who he wants to pay.
You know, the ones that
Protect.
We talk about the people that own. Man, the military industrial people, they got to be making a lot of money right now with all these wars and rumors of wars, as Matthew
They're always
24 talks about.
They're always making money.
But don't you think they're going to make more? Man, do you see?
We spend $600 billion a year.
The United States wants to buy, or they have offered
$660 billion
machine guns for Israeli settlers.
Well,
they want to. For Israeli people that are living on the frontier where this thing happened on October.
Everybody who is 18 years of age in Israel has to go into the military anyway.
Yeah, but they want to make sure that everybody has enough, has a weapon, and that the United States would be the country from which the weapons would come, supplied to settlers in Israel, who at this point have to be on incredible edge of another invasion by Hamas,
especially when their president is so wrapped up in his own
but
stuff.
Man, they're going to send all those weapons over there, man. And I'm saying, you know, I know that you don't care for a lot of guns, but man, we are about to civilian population.
Israel doesn't have they don't have the carnage problem.
I don't know what they have, but I'm saying my point is they want to send.
We're the only developed country in the world that has the gun problem that we have,
and the problem is the guns, not the people.
Absolutely.
So if we send machine guns to Israel, you think they're going to end up having a homicide, violence problem over there?
No. Well, look,
suicide.
Israel is not. First of all, Israel has a strict gun policy, like many other countries have, in terms of having a gun. You can't just have a gun.
Yeah, but they're talking about loosening that up. That was the reason for me saying what I said.
Who's talking about doing that?
They're talking about the United States.
The United States can't make policy for Israel.
Machine guns.
But the United States can't make policy for Israel.
I know, but Israel would say, hey, if you send us some stuff, we'll take a strap because we need it because Hamas came over on
That's
October
going to the military.
And that's going to the military. Huh? No. They wanted
the United States cannot make policy for Israel.
I know, but the point is, they're talking about this, and I didn't see any. Let me find it for you, okay? Just calm down.
Who's talking about?
You want to do some mood music or something in the intro?
No, I don't want to do.
While I look it up for you because it's right there, man.
I want you to tell
I'll
me.
get it for you, man.
No,
I'll get it for you, man.
Okay, I'm talking while you're looking.
Okay,
well, you're trying to tell us that the United States can make gun policy for Israel. They can't do it,
bro. Let me find it for you.
Well, find it. Just
hum a tune or something.
They can talk about it. No, I want to tell you that Israel makes its own gun policy. The United States of America has a gun policy where you have people who can have machine guns to go out and hunt deer.
No, we talk. I went to machine
guns. But no, they're not using machine guns to go hunt deer. They're using machine guns to go in bowling alleys and blow away 18 people and shoot up 50 or 60 people in less than a minute in this country. Mm-hmm. They don't have that problem in Australia. They don't have that problem in Israel. They don't have that problem in Europe. Just here in the United States of America, where Ron DeSantis and the people of Florida are running scared out of their mind. I was just down there this weekend, and they're talking about how nuts this man is to say anybody can have a gun. You don't even need a permit.
First supply of U.S. weapons arrive in Israel. This was 3 weeks ago. That was too old. Let me find a story for you, man.
I can't sing, so I'm not going to hum a tour.
Well, you can talk about something else, man, and move
I don't want to talk about something. I want to talk about guns.
Well, you want to talk about guns? Go ahead, man. Go for it, man. Because I know you don't like guns. You don't like guns, man.
No,
see, the guns are like, guns are the
this country is has this sick addiction to guns. Let's see how many people. Let's see what the statistics are on gun deaths. Okay, as of today, November 6, 2023, 36,580 people were killed, gun violence deaths.
Israel, American guns ordered by Israel could fuel West Bank violence. Now, this is from your New York Times, which is one of the papers you like to read. Israel wants 24,000 assault rifles. Itamar Ben-Gvir, a far-right minister overseeing the police, has given rifles to civilians and is forming security squads. I just read the first paragraph.
Well, wait a second. Now you said
I'm just saying
the United States.
But they're getting them from the United States, man.
That the United States wanted to give guns to the settlers. That's what you said.
But I just read it for you.
But no, you didn't.
That's what I did. I said the police chief
from where?
Itamar Ben-Gvir,
from where?
A far-right minister,
where
overseeing the police, has given rifles to civilians in Israel and the Western frontier. That's not the United.
That's not what you said.
But now I'm saying it the right way, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, good. That the guns would come from the United States. That's who's going to supply the guns. An Israeli government request for 24,000 assault rifles from the United States is drawing scrutiny from American lawmakers and some State Department officials who fear the weapons might end up in the hands of settlers and civilian militias trying to force Palestinians from land in the West Bank, where violence has been surging, U.S. officials say. So I'm just saying that a lot of American guns are headed to Israel.
That's not saying that they're headed there. That's not saying that.
It is, man. Well, Mark, what do I need to do?
Read it again.
An Israeli
because I need you to understand it. You're a reporter.
An Israeli government request for 24,000 assault rifles.
Has it been agreed to?
Has it been agreed to? Drawing scrutiny. Not yet, but I'm telling you what's going on, man. These people are at war, man.
Just tell the truth.
I am telling you the truth.
Now you're telling the truth.
I read it word for word from the New York Times.
Thank you.
Which is a paper I really don't believe very often.
Thank you for telling.
I'm telling you, I'm reading it
because that's not what you said before,
so that our audience can hear it.
Thank you.
Don't attack me.
I believe in telling them the truth,
man. I know, but
I believe in telling them the truth.
That there is a movement to move guns. Whatever, man. I'm telling you the truth.
That's a request from an Israeli official.
Fine. I'm telling you that the Israelis want to arm their people. They want guns to arm their people. That's all I'm saying to you. Okay.
So they want guns to arm their people.
Man, we're having a conversation. I read an article like this, not the same article, but it said that the Israeli government, same thing, Israeli government request.
Thank you.
The government is requesting 24,000 assault rifles.
I'm good with you now.
I'm just telling you what happened, man.
But there are people
they apparently think they need some assault rifles.
Well, they think they need that to protect their people.
To protect their people.
Yes,
sometimes people have guns in the United States to protect their people. Whether their people is their wife and children, their people.
That's
they want to protect their people.
Okay? That was the government.
Whatever.
Here today,
if you have the same problem, if you have people raiding the United States from Canada,
I let you do that.
People in North Dakota would want to have a gun.
Can I do this?
What do you want to do?
36,580 people were killed by guns to date in the United States.
And 100,000 were killed by fentanyl that comes over the border.
We're talking about guns.
I know, but I'm telling you, death is an indicator. But you're telling me that death is something.
Guns.
Okay, guns.
We're talking about guns.
Okay.
So let's stay on guns.
Okay, guns.
Okay. 36,580 people were killed with guns because all the gun lovers who say that people should have a gun to protect themselves. 20,460 of those deaths were self-inflicted. Suicides.
Got it. Okay.
Suicides.
So they chose a gun to blow their brains out as opposed to
but all of these people
in the closet. The thing is, they were unstable.
You don't know.
You think somebody in their right mind shoots himself?
You don't know what they were. You don't know
I
what
know
they
that.
were.
I know that
You
people
don't
in
know
their
what
right
they were.
mind do not shoot themselves.
Charles,
I know the difference
you
between
don't
that.
know what they were. You didn't know. You don't know who
So
these
they
people
shot
are.
themselves
If they didn't
because
have a-
they were in their sound
Do you
mind.
know that?
Really?
Do you know that
Come on, Mark.
85%? Hold on. Do you know that 85% of the
Mark.
people who survive suicide attempts?
Mark, let me tell you
Do
something.
you know? Hold on. Hold
No,
on
I
a
don't
second,
know that.
because
I don't know.
well,
that
I'm
'cause I
telling
haven't
you.
studied it.
I'm telling
The
you.
thing
So go back
is-
and study it. But I'm
the
going to give
thing
it to you.
is, man,
Now,
I
let me finish
agree
my
with you.
point.
36,000 people dying from gunshot wounds is too many. Way too many. I'm just saying you're not going to stop it by banning weapons,
Yes, you can.
banning guns.
Yes,
You're
you
not
can.
going to stop it.
Yes, you
Number
can.
one is too many guns.
Yes, you can.
And number two, the people who have the guns, the vast majority of people do not shoot other people with the guns. They
No,
use
shoot
them for
themselves.
protection.
They shoot
them-
themselves.
The vast majority
of
shoot
people-
themselves.
Yeah.
The vast
These are the
majority of
numbers.
people with guns shoot themselves.
The vast
You got to
majority of
watch
people.
your facts, man.
The vast
That's
minor-
not true. You
the
know that's
vast
not
majority
true, Mark.
of people
Mark,
who die
listen,
from guns
who die.
kill themselves.
Oh, so you're qualifying things now.
Well,
Just
if
like
you,
the request.
if you'd be quiet
Yeah.
and let me finish a statement,
Well,
if you
no,
be
because
quiet
you don't
and
finish
let me
the statement.
no,
You
you
won't finish the
interrupt because you
statement.
don't want
go,
to accept
see,
the
the
truth.
vast majority of
Yeah.
people. Now,
The vast
then
majority.
you go on to the next thing.
No,
Now
no,
what,
no.
man?
You said that. I never said that. The vast majority of people who have these guns that shoot themselves, kill themselves with
Mhm.
guns.
Okay. And there's
Period.
400
Okay.
million guns in
So-
the United States, and you
we're
got
4% of the
36,000 people
world's
that got
population.
killed.
We're 4% of the world's
Yes,
population.
and we got
Okay.
400,000 guns, and 36,000 people
No, we have-
died
we-
of
we
a
have-
gunshot.
Yeah, we have 400 million.
20,000 of those people shot themselves. That's a weak ass argument, man. I'm sorry. That's
Oh,
weak.
That's your
That's
opinion.
weak, man. It's my opinion.
Yeah, that's
I
your
think it's a weak argument.
Yeah, that's your
I think
opinion.
it's a weak argument.
Yeah.
You take away. I mean, the vast majority of gun owners, responsible gun owners, do not shoot themselves or anybody else. They don't do that.
I didn't make that
They
opinion.
don't do that.
I didn't
Well,
make that
didn't.
opinion.
I
I
said
didn't make
I
that
made
opinion.
that statement.
We don't
The
need to have
vast majority
semi-automatic
of
weapons.
American
We don't need
gun
to have
owners do
AR-15s.
not shoot
We
themselves
don't need to
or
have
shoot somebody
AR-15s.
else.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Criminals shoot somebody else, and troubled people commit suicide.
Well, you know,
In a country of 330 million, hey,
yeah, most people who end up having or killing each other are usually somebody that's familiar with each other. And it's and a large of them are family members killing each other with guns because of this sick idea that we need to have guns in this country. That everybody needs to have a gun. Everybody doesn't need to have a gun. That's just some. In fact, the Constitution doesn't even say that.
well, you know,
That's the way some people would like to interpret it, but that's not even what the Constitution says.
in 1776, when this country was founded by
Oh, now we gotta
whomever,
go back to
everybody needed a
1776.
gun. Everybody needed a gun. And some people who didn't
Well,
have
we didn't have
them
a
were either
military then.
enslaved or killed.
We didn't have a military.
Okay, let's go to 1823.
So we have a military now.
18. You have a military, huh?
Yeah, we have a
So
military.
what's the military going to do?
Yeah.
What the
Yeah,
military do in Israel? When the Hamas guys came over the border, what did the
We're talking about
military
the
do?
United States.
What
What are you talking about?
do you
Israel?
do you really think?
What are you talking about?
See,
Israel.
man, you have
What are you
this
talking about
situation.
Israel when we're talking
But wait a
about
minute,
guns
but
in this
you
country?
seem to think that the United States forever and
And
forever
I'm talking about
will
civilians.
be secured
I'm talking
by
about
its
civilians.
military and will never have war on this soil. You believe that? That's good for you to believe. That's good. If that's what you believe, do you have that kind of confidence? I don't.
Well,
I don't. I think
you
that
and I
America needs to defend itself. If it needs to defend itself,
Americans need
its
to
need-
defend itself
it need-
from America.
from foreign countries, man.
Oh,
Man,
please.
you don't know what
Give
could
me a
happen.
break,
You don't know what could happen. You really
Oh,
think that, man?
please.
You think America is
Oh.
invincible?
Charles.
You think
Charles.
America is going to be here 1,000 years
Let
from
me
now?
say this.
There's going to be a United States.
I don't
of
know what
America.
I don't know what's going to happen 1,000 years from now. I don't know what's going to happen 1,000 years from
Yeah,
now.
I know.
You know,
You don't.
You
That's why you
all-
need to have an
so you
armed
need to have
population.
a bunch of armed populations now from what you
Yep.
what you say.
That's what
because
did
you-
it.
I'm going to use your
That's
phrase
what
because you know that 1,000 years from now
I know that there. I know
that-
that civilization
America's
is
going to be
fragile.
invaded.
I know that
And
civilization
the people
is
who
fragile.
have the 400 million
America
guns
could
are
be
going to
invaded.
save America.
America
Is that
could,
what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Man, the people of Vietnam,
I don't think I've ever heard
they
anything
saved
more
themselves
ridiculous.
because they had a weapon. The
Yeah.
people of Vietnam had weapons, and they saved
you
themselves.
mean when this
They,
country went
the
over there and invaded
Taliban
their
had
country?
weapons. They saved
You mean when
themselves.
they went over and invaded this?
Huh?
When we went over there and invaded their country?
Yeah, but and they repelled us with their weapons. If they didn't have any weapons, they wouldn't have been able.
They didn't
to
have a
repel
military?
us. Huh? No, they didn't have a military.
They didn't have a military.
Kong,
Okay.
like the Taliban. Is that a military?
Right.
Is the Taliban ran
Well,
the Americans
they like to
out?
call
They
themselves-
had handguns, weapons, small arms, right?
They ran the Americans out.
The Taliban. What you
From
see
where?
people hanging on the planes,
Where?
leaving?
Oh,
You come on, man. You missed that one. I have
They
to
ran
tell
them
you
out?
that, man. They ran
The
the
Taliban?
Americans. The
Okay.
Taliban ran the Americans out of Afghanistan,
Okay.
like they ran the
Yeah.
Russians out of Afghanistan 30 years before that.
what's that got
I'm
to,
telling
what's that
you,
got to
man.
do with this
I'm
sick
saying
love
that
affair
an
with
armed
guns?
population is a guarantor
Oh,
of
no, it's
freedom.
not. No, it's not.
You got to have an
No, it's not.
armed population to defend yourself.
You are 3 times more likely to die with your own gun.
in the American Revolution.
but you say
the
you
farmers,
own it. But
the
wait a second. Now
farmers
you're talking about
brought
another
their
country.
own guns.
But now you're
to
talking about another country, right?
Washington's army, to the Continental
But
Army.
you're talking about another country.
What? I'm talking about the
attacking us,
United
right?
States now.
But you're talking
I'm
about
talking about the
but
United
you're talking
States,
about
man.
another country
Hey,
attacking the United
I'm
States.
talking about the United
and the
States.
citizens need to be armed to protect themselves, right?
Absolutely. That's what I
But
said.
that's not what you
I will
said.
stand
You
by
said
that.
you
But
own a
I
gun.
said what you just said.
But you said you have a gun.
But I meant what you just said.
What was that?
That an armed population, that you need the population to be armed
Oh,
to
I didn't say that.
guarantee freedom.
I didn't say that.
To guarantee
I didn't say
freedom.
that. You
They
said that.
They wouldn't even. Okay, I said that.
You said
Okay,
that.
good. As long as
Yeah.
you understand, I said
Yeah.
it. Cool.
But you
That's cool.
said
I said it.
you said
You need an
so
armed
now you've
population.
changed your position.
I'm not changing my position. An armed population
why you have
is
a
a
gun?
guarantor of freedom for people.
so-
You're not going to be subjugated by people if the people can defend
No,
themselves.
you know.
And that's what the Second Amendment is all about. Bottom line, you got to have
No,
an
it's
armed
not.
population. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
The Second Amendment is that's
No,
what
it's
it's
not.
about. Well, it's my
No, it's not. It's
interpretation.
not.
of it. My interpretation of it.
Wow. Yeah, of course.
What else is
Because
new,
it
my brother?
fits
We
you.
talked about guns. We always talk about guns.
Yeah.
You got anything else on your mind you want to talk about?
Yeah. I went to this town hall yesterday that Jonathan had. Pretty courageous on his part to do it. He had a town hall the way he let people got up, and all they did was just vent. All they did was just vent. Had no solutions.
About what?
Migrants.
Oh,
About
about
13,000
migrants,
people. Yeah.
13,000 people were in the meeting?
No. That's how many migrants we have here.
I thought we had 20.
No.
Well, the
don't.
Tribune and Sun-Times are
We don't.
wrong.
We don't.
They're wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
I didn't
wait
know,
a
man. You
minute.
know, I
Hold
don't
on a
know.
second.
I just read it, man. I read in the
You're
paper.
the person who have been touting about how off the Tribune is.
Exactly. But I mean,
Okay,
I try to avoid it.
Yeah.
But that's
So-
where I read the
Okay.
20,000 number in both papers.
Where did
First
you read
they
that?
went from 17, 18.
Where did you read that?
Then they went to 20.
Where did you read that?
Oh, man, it's probably, I don't know, man, it could be either one of those papers because
They
that's what
said
I've been
that's
reading.
what we have.
That they're saying that's what we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I choose to believe the information that comes from, the governments who are responsible for
The government?
serving these
I don't
people.
believe much of the
Okay.
government says, but go
All right.
ahead.
All right. So, well, yes, you do. Depends on where it comes from in the government. you believe what they say.
You get,
Okay. All right. So don't say you don't believe much of what they say.
don't make me the issue. I'm not the issue.
I'm
You
just
said, wait a
simply
minute,
saying.
Mark.
I'm just simply.
You said
I'm just
20.
simply saying.
You said 13,000
Right.
migrants. Okay, you
Right.
go with your number.
Okay.
Go
So,
with
and even if it were 20,000, so what?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, well, so
I
what?
mean, yeah. So what? But they were just venting and yelling. But he was giving out information as about not only that situation and to hear from people, because that's what he said he wanted to do, and he got an earful. But all I heard was just a bunch of people yelling and screaming, talking about we are going to be erased as a people, and they're going to have a block. When in fact, last numbers I checked, even though that there's been a depopulation of about 200,000 black folks over the last 20 years, 30 years in Chicago, which is been happening since 40 years ago. We've been losing population. We still to this date, as a Black community, have more registered voters than anybody else, and have an opportunity to add people who have become of age to vote more than another 100, not all Black, but another 150,000 people who have aged into the eligibility to vote in Chicago. So, but we still have the largest number of registered people to vote in the city. So I just heard a bunch of people just venting, while I see over here that we have all this money coming in, and I don't hear any conversation about what kind of plan that we should be looking for or developing to make sure that Black folks, Black communities are enriched from some of this money coming in. Just let's keep screaming, being distracted about the migrants. That to me is the distraction.
What about you? Said it was a Congressman Jack. I mean, that's money that he is shepherding, if you will. So what's he doing?
Well, he sent a letter and sent another letter, and this Thursday,
a letter.
President Biden is coming to Chicago.
Who? President Biden's coming here Thursday?
Thursday.
Joe Biden?
Yeah, Joe Biden.
Really? What's he going to do? That's news. You should have we buried the lead. You mean Joe is coming to town?
Yeah.
So we can get up in his face and tell him exactly what time it is? Like, is he bringing some money? He's bringing some money?
I think he's coming to town to bring some to bring some resources.
Like, what's he going to bring some money? He's going to leave a check.
Yeah.
You're going to leave a check?
Yeah.
Are you going to get on him about this airport situation?
Yeah. I got on Jonathan about that. That's what I went to get on him about. I told him I was insulted that and Channel 7 interviewed me.
About that?
They interviewed me coming in the door, right? They thought I was coming there to talk about migrants, right? Nobody would talk to, I forget her name, would talk to her. And
the reporter, black lady, or?
No, the Spanish girl. What's her name? She talks kind of slow, soft.
Latina.
Yeah.
Who was, man, I can't remember the girl.
Yeah, she interviewed me coming in the door.
She's brown hair?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I can't remember.
She's been a field reporter for a long time.
Right.
But she wanted me to talk about the migrant situation. And I told her, I didn't come to talk about the migrant situation. I came here to talk about one of the most transformational developments that will transform the Black community.
But she wasn't interested in talking about that.
She wanted to talk about, I made her talk about that, but I talked mainly about that, but she twisted and had to ask the question so that I could give her an answer about the migrant situation. And I gave her an answer, what I thought.
Were you on?
Yeah. Yeah, because I looked up the story. But that's the only thing that they showed of me answering was the question
because
about
that was
the
her
migrant.
story. Her story was about migrants.
So, but that wasn't the only thing that Jonathan said he wanted to talk about, but that was largely the only thing that most people talked about. But I went there to talk about and tell him that I thought that it was an insult to the Black community for Pete Buttigieg to come to the Midwest and go to Indiana when we have the most transformational project that could transform poor Black communities in the South region that need the help the most. That your brother was one of the didn't start it, but he was the one who got it to where it got to.
He was very instrumental, man.
It was extraordinarily instrumental because nobody believed that he could get it off the ground.
The airport after him once they built it.
So I called on him and all of the other congressmen to support Robin Kelly and go to Governor Pritzker and tell him to get this done. They just signed the deal. What's today? Friday. They just signed the deal with IDOT to do phase 1 of the interchange for
build it,
the South
to build it, or to
the interchange. Yes,
phase to build
1.
It.
Yes,
they're going to start building it.
Yes,
bulldozers.
Well,
Everybody out there working.
Yes.
That's interesting,
Okay.
man, because so Jonathan Jackson, do you think that maybe he might be able to enlist, just basically have a come to Jesus meeting with the governor and say, look, this is what we're talking about. You either do this, make a firm commitment to do it, or you won't be governor anymore. Is that
Plain
going
and
to be the
simple.
deal?
Well,
What do you mean ain't that
what,
simple?
That's what
It's
my
that
deal
simple
is.
to me.
That's what
It's
my
that
deal
simple
is.
to me.
But my deal is to him. I want him to go to Danny Davis, Karen Underwood. Is that her name? Karen Underwood?
Yeah, she's way up north.
I don't care where she is.
She probably more to Rockford Airport person.
Who?
The woman Underwood up north.
Is she?
Yeah, man, she's in McHenry County.
I don't care where she is, but I want him to get Danny Davis,
Jonathan
to go and stand with Robin Kelly, and go to the governor and tell the governor, look, stop pussyfooting around with this. You got 90% of the deal done. You got 90% of the land. You have appropriated $250 million for the infrastructure of these roadways. Now, 5 years ago, let's get this done. Now, you either get it done, or we find ourselves a new governor. That's
it.
That's it for me.
That's what you say. That's what you say. And in a project that big, in terms of that kind of consequence, the candidate who promises to do it is the one we should support. I don't care if he's a Republican. If you make that the deal, I don't care what else you do. You make that the deal, I'll support you. It's just that simple. It ain't about you got to be a Democrat for me to vote for you. That's where we get messed up, because we let that get in the way of our transactional politics. Our number is 708-223-8953, 708-223-8953. Give us a call. I mean, we got a few minutes left. Let us know what you think about the topics we've been discussing tonight here on the People's Show on Intellectual Radio.
Next week, we got a guest that we're going to have. They won't be in studio, but we're going to be talking with them. There is a woman by the name of Larissa Tucker, who is an assessor out in the southern suburbs. She is running for the Board of Review. She's going to be running against Larry Rogers Jr., who I'm no fan of.
Why is that now? Why would you not be a fan of Larry Rogers?
Because Larry Rogers Jr. is responsible for a lot of the tax abatements that have gone to average everyday homeowners that they've had to pay on behalf of
not tax abatements and tax
tax abatements. Tax abatements where you have rich property owners downtown, which is where he gets most of his money from, that have undervalued their properties so that they can pay lower taxes on properties that are worth far more, that they put that burden on everybody else. Because what happens is when you get a tax abatement, 10, 20, 30 million, whatever the number is, it doesn't go away. It gets spread out over the entire district. Everybody has to foot the bill.
When you say abatement, I'm a little a tax abatement.
Yes.
It's not an assessment. It's
the assessment determines the abatement.
Okay, you're the real estate man, not me.
So what happens is you have a property owner that goes in to appeal their taxes.
Right.
They appeal their taxes to the assessor.
Mm-hmm.
The assessor reviews, and they get all of the information in. They get the appraisers, the information that they brought in. And then the assessor goes and has its own independent review of that and comes back and says, no, your property's worth more. You don't get this.
What if they say your property is worth less?
Hold on.
That's the abatement, right?
You then go and you say, well, I want to appeal the assessor's decision to the Board of Review.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the Board of Review, and the Board of Review, which is a panel of 3 people, because there's 3 districts, votes on that appeal, and whatever they say is the gospel. They can overrule whatever the assessor.
So the abatement is going to the big
property
owners.
Yes.
That lowers their taxes.
Correct.
That's all we need to say. Their taxes get lowered.
Yes.
And when their taxes are lowered, that means the residential goes up.
That pays what they should have paid.
Right.
So whatever they got off their taxes, which was whatever the amount was, if it's 10 million, 20 million, the property owners in that district, everybody foots that bill.
Right.
On behalf of the rich property owner.
Because they got an abatement.
Because they got an abatement.
Yeah.
And they got somebody on the board of review voting with them. Larry Rogers Jr. I used to be a fan of Larry Rogers Jr.
Yeah, I
used to be a fan of his.
He was all the rage, man, back in the early 2000s about who would be the next, black political superstar in Chicago. Larry Rogers Jr.'s name came up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, he was largely talked about back then. Now you don't hear much about him at all. Yeah, because he's been bought.
He's been bought. You say he's been bought?
Yeah, he's bought.
Larry
Rogers.
Oh, man, Larry don't need to be bought. Larry is rich as rich can be, man.
Because he's been bought.
Oh,
because he's been bought.
Larry and his family and his father
I know about that.
All that money. They do not need money.
He still owned. Money. I didn't say what they needed.
I'm saying they didn't need any money. I mean, I don't think
most of Larry Rogers, yes, he is. He's bought by those rich property tax owners downtown. That's who owns him.
Because they
own him.
Because he's getting paid.
That's where he gets the lion's share of his money from that group.
Well, downtown real estate right now is in huge, deep depression. Because people aren't using the office buildings the way they used to use them.
Back.
And let them come back. I hope they do. But right now, the values are way down in terms of what they're saying that they can get for the property, and they think that the assessment, the last time it was made for downtown was made during a boom time right before the pandemic. So the buildings were worth a lot more. They all are seeking an abatement because a lot of them are losing their properties because they can't make the nut on them.
Yeah, well, they won't lose a boat.
They
won't lose a boat. They'll still be able to go out on their boat to Martha's Vineyard or wherever they go to.
Man, you don't like them rich people, do you?
I don't have a problem with rich people at all.
Well, you just said it.
I don't have a problem. I have a problem with people I have a problem with using the working class people to foot their bill. I have a problem with that. They need to have I have no problems with people building wealth. I support that. I also support you paying your fair share.
And you say they don't.
I support that. They don't. And they're starting to correct that. Which is why they tried this slick thing to run Carrie Steele using a black woman to run against Fritz Kagi. They used a race card in that.
So tell me the dynamic
there, election.
Man. I mean, I thought she did a fairly effective campaign.
Well, she might have did an effective campaign because the rich property owners were funding it. Larry Rogers Jr. Was largely behind that campaign.
Really?
Yes.
Carrie Steele's campaign?
Absolutely.
That was Larry? That was Larry?
Absolutely.
Really? Now, I know that the Local 150, the labor union, the electrical, what do they call them? Not electrical.
It's a pipe.
The big machine guys.
Yes.
What do they call them?
Iron guys.
Operating engineers.
Yes.
Local 150, I know they were involved in that campaign.
Yes.
Big time. Why were they so involved?
Well, because most of those guys work in, building the big buildings, so, they were all together on that. So they wanted to get that office back so that they could reverse what Fritz Kagi is doing and trying to make it fairer.
So you think Fritz Kagi is doing a decent job?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of folks would take exception to that. I don't know enough about it. I had met Carrie in the past, and I thought she was very capable. I think that her campaign, the fact that she ran against,
she wasn't capable of running that office. That office is probably one of the most. That is probably one of the most complicated offices in government.
Yeah, I think she's capable though. I mean, I think she was capable. I think that
I don't think she had a clue.
she has a I think
she had a clue.
I think the
She's a
Democrat
scientist, and
the Democrat Party has sort of cast her adrift, so to speak, right now. I don't hear anything about her. I know that even when the mayor was transitioning into office, isn't she doing
something with him?
Who, the mayor?
Isn't she doing something with him?
I would hope so, but I know she wasn't on his transition team.
She's on some other kind of committee or something.
That's great, man, if she is, because maybe she can work her way back into the game, because I think the party did not like the idea that she took on, a sitting assessor. And
well, he was not a part of the Democratic Party. He was an independent.
But I think the Democrats slated him, and they didn't slate her. Yeah. And I think it was, and how they are, man. In Chicago, I think the Democrats in Cook County. I certainly
didn't support her either.
The Democrats in Cook County, they kill you politically, then they burn the body. This is what they do. And if you can get them not to burn the body.
Republicans do a good job of that too.
There ain't no Republicans around here. I mean,
I
don't know where they do it.
When they get
they
done
might
with
do
you,
it in Indiana. They might do it in Wisconsin. But they don't do it in Cook County in Chicago because it ain't none of any who hold any offices.
Well, that's good.
So
that's a good.
Hey, man, we're rolling.
That's a good thing.
We're rolling.
Yeah. So, but yeah, well, anyway, so she's going to be our guest next week. So we're going to get a chance to hear from her and
hear from
Larissa Tucker.
And where is she in this?
Where's she an assessor? She's out in Park Forest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think she's out in Park Forest.
Yeah, because all those townships have, they have, I don't know what township that is, but they have assessors. The townships do.
Park Forest is the highest assessed suburb in the state.
Which township is that? So we know that who's running.
Let's see. She's in Chicago Heights.
What township is that?
What township is she in? Let's see.
Cook County Townships.
Well, it's Cook County.
Yeah, it's Cook County.
Yeah, but Cook County, but
it's divided into townships.
She's in the 3rd district. She's endorsed by. It doesn't say which township this is in.
There you go, Cook County Townships. Okay, we got Berwyn, Bloom, Bremen, Cicero, Lamont, Lyons, Oak Park, Orland, Palos. I think it's probably Calumet.
That may be it.
Or Thornton.
That may be it. But the 3rd district is let's see what that's made up of, if it says it here. Okay, so she is running for the 3rd district. Where is that? It doesn't say where.
It's either Bremen or
let's see.
Or it's not Rich, I don't think. Rich is too far south.
3rd district in Cook County.
I don't think it's Bremen.
Cook County.
If it's not Thornton. It's Bremen or Thornton, I think. Anyway, that's good. That'll be good to talk to her.
So anyway, so we're going to be talking with her next week. It doesn't even say it here. But I'll find out anyway. But she's going to be talking with us. She called us today, and I talked to her for a good bit, and so I told her that we need to. It says Rolling Meadows here.
That's way up north. That's way north.
Cook County 3rd Municipal District, Rolling Meadows.
I got a map here, man. I think it's either I don't know, Therios.
Does it say 3rd district on there? What is the 3rd district?
It's Thornton or Bremen.
I think it's Thornton.
Yeah, Thornton's Thornton is the most heavily voted Democratic township in Cook County and in the state. You get more votes out of Thornton Township than any other township in the state of more Democrat votes, I should say, than any other township in the state. Rich. And then there's I mean, when I say it's rich, I mean it's rich in votes. It's vote rich. That's where Frank, what was his name? The Italian guy who used to run the politics in the south suburbs. Oh man,
Frank.
Yeah, his first name was Frank. Man, I call him Frank. I never.
I thought it was Pellegrini or somebody.
Yeah,
like that.
something like that, man.
Yeah,
some Italian. But he used to give a big spaghetti dinner or something like that.
Yeah,
every year.
He was the supervisor out there.
Yeah.
Well, you know who the supervisor is now? Is the mayor of Dalton.
Holy man, have you been following that at all?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, man. I mean, I was going down the was it the Bishop Ford?
Yeah.
Man, she got billboards up.
It's ridiculous.
With her picture on it.
Oh man.
But
celebrity status.
I know. In fact, when right after she got elected, I basically had a situation where I was trying to. They asked me to help them with just being a handler, you know.
You mean her campaign?
No, for her. She had just been elected and she was having some issues. And I did a presentation before the board.
She's rough.
But the board didn't want my company to do the work. But man, did I dodge a bullet. Yeah, well, I would have quit the minute she said she wanted to put up a billboard, and she was paying her security team more by the hour, more money than there were hours in a month, a week or something like that. Like what?
I don't know why they got rid of the last guy that was there was a decent guy, Rogers. I met the guy.
Rogers, in where?
Dalton.
And he was Riley Rogers.
Yeah, Riley Rogers. He was a decent guy.
Yeah, he's a decent guy.
He was a decent guy.
I don't, man, but
but
you don't need a lot of votes to win out.
She starts her council meetings with this DJ. I was like, what with somebody? I thought it was somebody's birthday party. I mean, that's the ghettoish mayor that I
know, man. She went at one council meeting, and they have video of it.
I know
of her. She was going to be Nino Brown from New Jack City. She dressed like Nino Brown and walked around the room and acted like Nino Brown in a meeting.
Yes.
And there's video of it.
Yes.
Man, what is up with my people?
I don't know what's up. What's up with Dalton? I mean, what is up with Dalton? And now she is the supervisor.
Yeah, but she's not Frank. See, Frank Zuccarelli was the supervisor in Thornton Township, but Frank Zuccarelli was also the Democratic Party committee man in Thornton Township, and he had more weighted vote than any Cook County Democratic committee man. More weighted vote. So if there was a job or something and there was weighted vote, he had more votes than anybody else, and he was right out of Thornton Township.
What's her name?
Tiffany Hinyard.
Tiffany Hinyard.
Yeah, she's a trip, man.
Oh man.
I know that I don't know if Dorothy Brown is still working with her, but she probably takes Dorothy away. Dorothy couldn't handle it anymore because Dorothy was her mentor.
Man.
And
Dorothy was her mentor?
Yeah, but I think Dorothy quit. I think Dorothy's gone. Dorothy couldn't take it anymore. Oh, this woman is out to lunch totally. Man, I can't believe it. She has a fleet of bodyguards. She takes the bodyguards with her whenever she travels.
Look at this. Look at this. I mean, she is wild. She is just wild. Why does she need bodyguards?
You tell me.
What is that? 15 people in Dalton?
She has a fleet of like 6 bodyguards.
I know,
one guy was working 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day. No, I ain't gonna make any presumptions about what he was doing, but this brother had more hours being her bodyguard than there are hours in a week. You're like 300.
This is
put in
going
for
back
300.
into the days of when what was his name that was the mayor out there? The twin brothers.
Oh, the Shaws.
The Shaws. This is going back in those days. Man, listen. I went to do a rehab out there, and they told me that I had to put up. This was way back in the 80s. They told me that I had to put up a $7,500 deposit in escrow at the, in their treasury.
Mm-hmm.
I said,
yeah.
I said, I can use the $7,500 on my property. I said, why am I putting up $7,500?
Was that your property? You had bought a property to redevelop.
Yes.
So they wanted you. That was money for the Shaws, man. You got to pay. You get to pay to play, bro.
Man, look,
did you know that?
I did that one property, and I made sure that I did exactly what they needed to do because I was not giving them this.
So you got your money back. Did you get your money back?
I got my money back. And of course, it took me a little time to get it back.
You got your money back because you would put Mark Wallace.
Yeah, well,
a lot of people out there, they just give them the money, and then when they finish, they come and get the approval. No. You want this? We got to come out and look at it before we give you our final approval.
Oh man, you come out and
you leave that $7,500.
Yeah, right.
And you got approval.
Yeah,
it's an easy game.
I got my $7,500, and that was the last time that I did a deal out there until recently, a few years ago. It's long chains. And that's what I'm saying, that Rogers, the mayor Rogers out there, was a decent guy. I've called her a couple of times because I was interested in buying the Dalton Bowl, the bowling alley there, when they were trying to sell the bowl. So when I first talked about it, Rogers was the mayor out there. They said, come over. I called over there. Man, they called me back. I thought thinking they're going to make a meeting for next week. They called me back within an hour and said, the mayor will meet with you in an hour. I went out there and sat down and talked with him and told him, what I was interested in doing. And he found out what I did. And we drove around, the village. And he was showing me some of the things that he was wanting to do for the village out there. And he's just a decent guy. And I thought that, for all intents and purposes, that he was okay. I didn't hear any complaints from the people out there. People who own the bowling alley and own the soccer field, they pretty much thought he was a decent guy. But she ran a campaign, man, against this guy and got him out.
Yep. Somebody voted for her. I don't know who that was, but she's working hard to keep her power base. Man, we've had a good time tonight, man. I've enjoyed this.
No, it's been great.
As I always enjoy it.
Yeah, it's been great.
Man, I'm looking forward. I'm excited about next week already.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited about what's happening in that, and I think we need to organize ourselves together to make sure that because that airport is going to be transformational.
Well, tell your boy Joe Biden that when he comes here on Thursday. You say it's Thursday? Yeah, man. Yeah. Your boy Joe Biden, man. Tell Joe Biden, wake him up. Say, Joe, we got an airport project out here. If you want to win Illinois, and I know you do, he's gonna say, you're gonna get behind this project, get Pete Buttigieg out here, have a press conference out at Bolt Field. Talk about what an incredible economic development this could be, and see what he does. But then again, Joe, being the Democrat that he is going to say, I don't give you Negroes nothing. Y'all going to come vote for me anyway. Yeah. If you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, you'll vote for Donald Trump, who says, look at my African American over there. Look at my African American over there. My African American. He really means that.
Me, you ain't black. Okay, man.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, bro.
Listen, it's been real.
It's been real again.
Yeah. I guess it's been good. I got to get back home so I can take possession of. This is the first time my wife has ever been left alone with the dog.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
the dog's got to stay with us because we're renovating the house. So,
all right, man.
All right, folks. We'll be back next week. You've been listening to and watching The People Show every Monday night here with Mark Wallace and
Charles Thomas. Have a great week.